And hello YouTube, this is GSmaniamsmart, and I'm taking a brand new video for Gaming with GS. Today we're going to talk a little about Guild Wars 2 and build diversity. This mainly is a topic that was brought up yesterday by one of my friends, and we had sort of a nice little discussion about it. Before I start the topic though, let me just quickly explain the background footage. I am practicing on my Necromancer. I've come to the point where I'm almost done with the Ascension achievement for the 4th one to build the legendary back piece. I'm almost there. I just need like one more Ascension. I need one more profession achievement. So I'm trying to get good on my Necro because I'm good on my Ellie, I'm good on my Guardian, and I need a 3rd. Everyone thinks Warrior's so OP and so easy, but dude, I'm telling you, I tried playing Warrior and I tried playing like that meta build that everyone likes to play, and I just suck at it. I don't know what it is. Like, I'm just not, like, the build is cool, I understand the build, I'm just not very good at it. I don't know what it is. So I'm gonna try to play my Necro a bit more. You'll probably see me screwing around with like showing off my Necro. I made her look really cool. I really like how she looks. So you'll see some background footage of me practicing my Necro. If you want to watch it, you can. Otherwise, you can always minimize the video and just listen along as you play Guild Wars 2 or whatever else you're doing. So anyway, yesterday, I think, yeah, it was yesterday, I was on my Warrior, and I was talking to one of my friends. I was also talking to Mariah about this, and I basically asked them, you know, what should I build on my Warrior? You know, I want to have, like, sort of a tanky type of warrior, but then you know, as I asked that question, I was like, well, wait a second, never mind, because I mean, everyone's building Berserker. I need to build Berserker. And then one of my friends says, I hate that everyone builds Berserker. Why does everyone have to build Berserker? That's so stupid. There's so many other gear stats in the game, and everyone always buys Berserker. And you know, I know the reason why everyone builds Berserker, but I wasn't sure if they knew, so I asked, well, do you think a tank is necessary in PVE? Do you think a healer is necessary in PVE? And they were like, yeah, because it makes things go faster. And I was like, well, no, it doesn't make things go faster, because if you have a tank, then you're losing DPS, and you're losing damage. The same if you have a healer, you're losing DPS, and you're losing damage. So it'll take you longer to get to the content. And then one of them said, well, yeah, but if you die, then it takes you longer because you have to restart. And I'm like, yeah, that'd be true if the rally system wasn't in place. And I basically had this discussion with them how the rally system and some other mechanics in the game are holding back build diversity. And so I just want to touch on that topic with you guys today. I want to hear your opinions on it, and you know, just sort of talk about this subject. It is something that does bother a lot of people, and particularly bothers me too. You know, I would like to build a tanky warrior who can do damage, like not just full Berserker. But quite frankly speaking, when do you actually need that? You know, when do you actually need a tanky warrior? Like, never. So everyone always builds Berserker for a lot of their builds. For a lot of the classes, everyone builds Berserker. And for the most part, it's for a good reason. You know, most of this game is revolved around a soft Trinity. Now, what I mean by a soft Trinity is compared to a hard Trinity, like maybe EverQuest 2 or Final Fantasy 11 or the World of Warcraft, or you know, any type of MMO you look at, really, there's usually a hard Trinity. Even Overwatch, something as just like that. Any MOBA, League of Legends, think of any game that has specific roles. They're usually focused around a hard Trinity, where one person is healing and that's all they're really good at, where one person is tanking and that's all they're really good at. You can build them differently, but you probably won't have a lot of success. You know, where one person is mainly doing damage, or one person is mainly doing CC, or one person is mainly doing conditions. Like, you have all these specific roles, right? And if you decide to play a character with that role, then you're expected to play that character's role and what it's best at. Like, you're not going to be seeing a healer building damage, because that's just stupid. All of your skills revolve around healing, right? And protection. Now, this game does it very differently, you know? This game, you can basically play however you want. You can play an elementalist who can heal. You can play an elementalist who can somewhat tank. You can play an elementalist who does a ton of damage. You can play a guardian who can heal. You can play a guardian who does damage, who does condition damage, who does tanking, who just is a support character. You know, there's a lot of different ways that you can play each of the classes in Guild Wars 2, where it's not a hard trinity. Now, there's still a soft trinity set into this game, meaning that if you take, for example, taking a look at Druid, for example, Druid is going to do a ton better healing than, say, a Warrior. Or an Elementalist is going to do a lot better support than, say, I don't know, a Thief or an Engineer. Like, you can sort of see there's a soft trinity. A Revenant, for example. Revenant and Guardian, they're really good at giving buffs, right? Like, for Elementalist and Thief are never going to be able to give as good buffs as a Revenant or a Guardian. And same with Warrior. Warrior is able to give a ton of might, a ton of power increase, a ton of precision increase, and basically boost all of your stats. And other classes aren't going to be able to do it as well as the Warrior. So there is a soft trinity involved in the game. And even with these soft trinities in place, it still feels like everyone has to build damage and has to build DPS. But why? If you think about it, if you're running around in PVE, say you're running around in the world map, say you're doing a dungeon, say you're doing a fractal, anything really, say you're doing a story mission, when do you actually need healing? When do you actually need tanking or CC or anything other than damage, really? If you really think about it, there's never really a time where you need healing or you need a tank. Because the more damage you do, the faster you get through the content, the faster you get through a dungeon, the faster you get through your personal story, the faster you get through everything, basically. You know, there are a few exceptions where you may want to build something other than damage, which is in raids specifically. You know, in raids, you do need to have a tank. In raids, you do need to have some CC. In raids, you do need to have a mixture of condition damage and a mixture of DPS. In raids, you do need to have a healer. You do need to have someone that gives boons. You need to have someone that gives a ton of might. Like in raids, you need to have a little bit of everything. It's still heavily focused on DPS, but at least we're actually seeing some build diversity. It could still be a lot better, but we're seeing it, you know, actually reward players who are healers or reward players that like to tank. If you compare it to some fractals, though, I mean, some fractals make CC a bit easier, but realistically speaking, fractals in dungeons, you don't need a healer, you don't need a tank, you could just need high DPS. Because the faster you kill something, the faster you'll get through the content. And then PvE, it's the same thing. If you're going around the world, you just want to kill things as quickly as possible. There's no need to heal or to tank even. And there's several problems why this is so. With the exception of Heart of Thorns maps, maybe you'll build a bit survivability, maybe you'll build a little tanky, maybe you'll adjust your build to be a bit more tanky, like in your specializations or whatnot. But quite frankly, if you're good at your class, like on my Elementalist, I have a full Berserker build, all damage, barely, like literally no defense. And I do just fine Heart of Thorns. So it is still possible. And maybe in World versus World, you may build a bit of survivability as well. But most people are still going to build, you know, a lot of damage. So a lot of the problems revolve around rallying, revolve around healing power not being a very good stat. And that's sort of what breaks the entire build diversity system. Now, if you take a look at PvP, it's a little better. I mean, you do see some people running healer builds, which are very useful for team comps to have a lot of damage and are very squishy. You do see like tanks, like tanks are really good because you can play bunker build. Like, you can hold nodes for very long. So, I mean, in PvP, we are seeing it improve a bit, you know, just like in raids. But it'd be great if something similar were to happen to PvE. And, you know, there's a lot of great, interesting stat types, like the Commander's gear, or like the Wanderer's gear. Heck, even the Settlers and the Nomad gear, which I wanted to build at one point, actually, would be such great builds for specific classes if you want to play a specific role. My issue is this. If I'm playing and maybe you guys can relate to this, or maybe this is just a personal issue. Maybe if you have an explanation for me, then you can give it to me. If I want to play someone who does a ton of damage, if I want to play, say, a Berserker gear, say my group needs, I always have this ideal situation in my head where I look at my group and like, okay, we have a warrior, okay, he gives us a bunch of might, okay, we have a guardian, he gives us a bunch of boons and support, okay, we have a ranger druid, he's gonna do our healing. I want to play a heavy DPS class, right? I'm clearly gonna pick my elementalist, right? But what's the difference in me playing a heavy DPS elementalist and then, you know, picking something like my heavy DPS revenant or my heavy DPS thief? You know, when am I gonna want to play my Zerker thief or Zerker revenant over my Zerker Ellie? Because they're all three of them basically do the same thing. They're focused on doing tons of damage. Unless you're doing specific dungeons where, you know, thief, you might need invisibility or something like that, right? But if you're doing regular PVE content, like say you're doing the Heart of Thorns maps, or say you're doing map completion, or say you're doing dungeons just even, or fractals, the best bet is to build DPS, because it doesn't matter how many times you die because of this rally system that we have, you're gonna be alive again anyway. And this is why raids do such a good job at pushing build diversity, because it has something that PvE doesn't have, which is the ability to rally off of something that was killed. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Well, not correct me, because this is what happens. You know, you're fighting a giant boss. You can't rally off of someone. Someone actually has to revive you. So this encourages you to build a little more tanky, a little more survivability. It forces you to pay attention a bit more to the battle. Rally is one of the biggest problems why build diversity is facing a problem. It doesn't matter if you're building tanky or healer, because one, people can always play reckless and not get punished. If you're going into a dungeon, if you're going into PvE, it doesn't matter. Anybody can play completely reckless and run into the fight, do tons of damage, and then die. But guess what? It doesn't matter, because as long as they have enough damage to kill at least one enemy, or as long as the entire team has enough damage to kill at least one enemy, that person is not going to get punished. They're just going to get right back up, they're going to rally, and they can continue to do DPS. There's no point for someone to tank, because it doesn't matter. Whoever dies can just easily rally again. There's no point for someone to heal, because it doesn't matter, because as soon as you rally, you're back up to like a considerable amount of health anyway, and then you can heal yourself anyway also. So there's no point really for any of those roles. You may as well just play DPS to get through the content quicker and more efficiently, because there's no point in playing tank. You're gonna lose DPS time, and it's gonna take you longer to complete dungeons. I feel like another really problematic factor in this entire thing is that no one's really gonna build tank, because there's no threat control. Like in some games, you have certain skills that basically bring the boss or bring the enemy towards you, and he only focuses you. If we had something like that, yes, in raids we have that, the person with the highest toughness, right? But if we had something like that in PvE, then maybe tank would be a bit more viable. But even so, it wouldn't even matter, because the PvE content is so easy that there's no point to control the threat level even. Like, why would somebody want to, you know, control the threat level of, like, like in an event? Think of you doing an event and, you know, a person trying to control the threat level of, you know, one of the mobs spawning. There's no point, because you can just kill it instantly. It doesn't take many skills to kill something very instantly. The PvE content is so easy that there's no need for a tank, there's no need for threat level control. And then we have the flaw with healing power. You know, healing power could be a really interesting stat type. You could incorporate it with rezzing. You know, a person who has a ton of healing power can res really fast. But that isn't happening. A person could have 0 healing power, and another person could have 1,000 healing power, and they would res the exact same amount. And that's really disappointing, because you'd imagine, hey, I have a ton of healing power, I should be able to res someone a lot quicker, right? If that was a mechanic in the game, then maybe healing power would really have some place in the game. Maybe it'd be a bit more considered. But I guarantee you, No one is sitting in the game right now saying, oh, I'm gonna build healing power. Unless maybe if you're doing raids, obviously. Other than that, there's no point for you to play with a healing power set. And the other problem is that there's just not a lot of reason, reward, or point to even play a healer, because sometimes it's really hard to see if you even make an impact. It's like I said, everyone has their own heal, right? And everyone has a way of surviving on their own. If you heal someone, all you're really seeing is green numbers, but how much do those green numbers actually affect your team? You know, if it used to be, they made a recent change where if you complete an event now, if you healed people and at least you got like 1 or 2 hits off, you'd still get event progression, and you could still get a gold medal, right? Because you know you're supporting. But like I said, quite frankly, why would you do that? Because everyone has their own heal, everyone has their own survivability anyway, and people can just rally. So you may as well just go DPS to help speed it up, right? And I feel like that's the problem. That's another problem, is that we have this soft Trinity, and we have this ability that every player can sort of fend off for themselves, and every player has their own heal skill, and every player sort of has their own defense, which is good because it allows you to play your character in different ways however you want to play. But it sort of discourages anyone to play, you know, a healing class or a support class or a tank class. There's really only a need for DPS. So I feel like the ways this system can be improved, you know, who would I be to just sit here and complain about the system and not give some solutions? I feel like the rally system needs to be revamped. You know, you shouldn't be able to just go in recklessly into a fight and just do tons of DPS and then basically die and then rally off of something and come back with, you know, a really considerably amount of health. I feel like that shouldn't be happening. I feel like if the rally system was changed, that'd be better. Like the raid system has it, you know? You know, you have to be rezzed. You can't just rally off of someone. Maybe you should just allow people to res you. Maybe the down skills should be a bit more defensive rather than offensive. Maybe you personally have to kill the enemy and not people around you. You know, there's a lot of options you can have, or just take the rally system completely out. You know, there's a lot of options you can think about. But I feel like the rally system really is problematic. And then the other problem we have is that healing power is really not encouraged enough. You know, everyone reses the exact same. You can barely tell if you're making a difference as a healer, and that needs to be addressed as well if they really want to allow people to play a healing class. Now, like I said, in raids it's different because you don't regenerate health. I mean, if you look at PVE, after you kill something and you go out of combat, you regenerate all your health anyway. So there's no point in healing. Like, even if they would make a small change like that, maybe some people would actually play healer a bit more, you know? I love playing my Auramancer. I love playing my healer. You know, the other day, Mariah was playing with one of her friends, and we were all playing. You know, the 4 of us. We were playing with 2 other people, right? And they were running around in level 30 areas, and they're like sitting at like level 20, or I think it was like level 20 areas, like level 18 areas, and they were like level 10 or 12. I can't forget, but it was a huge level difference. You get my point, right? And I was like, okay, guys, I'm just gonna play my Auramancer, right? I'm gonna heal you guys. And I mean, yes, in the midst of the battle, it was useful, I guess, but it's because they were super low level, right? But there's no point to play a healer class, because if you win a battle, as soon as you got a combat, your health regenerates completely anyway. So there's no point even to heal afterwards. You know, like in other games that doesn't happen. In other games, your health doesn't just completely shoot up after you got a combat. You actually have to heal yourself. You actually have to go to, like, you know, an outpost or something. I feel like that change would be really good too, because at least it would encourage healers to play a bit more. At least you wouldn't be so reckless in combat. Because I don't know how many, this annoys me too. Like, this really annoys me, and I'm gonna call out one of my friends here. We do wood farming. I like to, you know when you go in ore or straight to devastation, and you're collecting your elder wood. Like, everyone needs their elder wood, right? You know what I'm talking about if you do it. I see a lot of people just run through the area, ignore everything, and it's like, oh, I'm not gonna fight this, I don't need to fight this, and with good reason. I mean, come on, with good reason. You're trying to get your wood. It's no point to fight these guys because you're gonna kill them anyway. You're probably not gonna get any great loot anyway, you know, so what's the point even? But a lot of times I hear, oh, I don't care, they can't do anything to me, or something like that, right? And it's because it doesn't matter how much damage they do. If you run away to a certain point where you're out of combat, your health generates all the way up anyway. Like, even in a situation like that, where you don't want to fight enemies, at least make it viable for a healer to be there to actually heal. Like, even in a situation like that, if they just take out the, oh, your health shoots up as soon as you're out of combat, like, that would be a good change to encourage healers a bit more. So, yeah, that's just something that I've noticed. Those are just some things that bug me a bit. Personally, you know, it'd be great if we could have more build diversity in PVE, but I understand that it's a hard thing to do, because by saying, okay, we're taking the rally system out, by saying, okay, we're gonna take out the ability for your health to shoot up, by saying that, hey, you can't just, you know, build straight DPS anymore, you're potentially making the game harder. And I know some people don't like that because they played the game, and they played it because it was a casual game, and they like that. And it sucks because, you know, you take out the rally system, and the entire PvE experience changes. You take out a small thing like, oh, your health shoots up when you're out of combat. The PvE experience changes. People are gonna have to be a bit more attentive to their environment. And personally, I like that, you know? I like that. You know, I don't like people just running through the area, just ignoring everything and feeling like, oh, it doesn't matter because I'm not gonna die anyway. And if I do die, I have enough power, I have enough damage to kill it anyway. You know, maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just used to playing a lot of hard Trinity games. And, but you know, I don't even know, like, I don't like the hard Trinity either. I like the soft Trinity Guild Wars has. I just feel like it's too heavily focused on Berserker gear, and it's just really annoying. So anyway, that's my rant sort of for the day, I guess. Those are my thoughts. So I just wanted to share it with you. You know, like I said, if you have similar issues like I have with this, then, you know, just do raids. Raids will make you feel a bit better because different build diversity is encouraged there. We're still not to that point where every build, you know, all different kinds of builds are welcome. We're still not to that point. Heck, for some certain raids, some classes aren't even useful. So we're still not at that perfect level yet, but we're getting there, and it's good to see. I just wish PvE content was a bit more. I don't know if I want to use. I don't know if I want to use the word dangerous. Like, going into a dungeon shouldn't feel like just a DPS fest. You know, like, you go into a dungeon in other games, and it actually feels somewhat dangerous. I feel like you go into a dungeon and it's like a cakewalk. It's like, oh, just everyone goes Berserker gear, we'll burst everything down, boom, we're done. Like, it sort of loses the excitement a bit. But anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling about the subject. Please let me know your comments, your opinions on this subject in the comments section. What are your thoughts? Do you like the system that we have now? Do you feel like there could be some changes made? If you have some changes in your mind that you think could help, you know, this entire system where stat diversity could be improved a bit more, leave it down below in the comments section because I'm really curious and I'd love to see your ideas. But that's pretty much this video. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you found it somewhat informative and found it somewhat entertaining, and maybe I've sparked some thoughts in your head. That was the point of this video. So if you like this video, like my other videos, you can always donate $8 to my Patreon page. Anything as low as that is always very helpful and very much appreciated. All you gotta do is click the card in the top right corner of the screen, and it'll bring you to the page. I also have a tutorials channel, advice channel, a vlogging channel, a music channel. You want to check those out. Links in the description as well as on the end card. And with that, that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. As always, I'm gonna try to see what video I can make tomorrow. Maybe I'm gonna upload Dust and Elysian Tale. I'm not really sure. Maybe I'll look in my gold list, my quick gold guide list, and see which method I haven't covered yet. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah, we are getting close to 3,000 subscribers. We're very close to it. Kind of exciting. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. And this is GSmaniamsmart, and I'll be back sooner you think. Don't go anywhere.